Hello everyone. This is my attempt to record a journey, an experience that I had last night. I've been wanting to unveil more of the nature of this reality and what we're really doing here on this plane. And I've had many journeys that gave me clues here and there. It's almost like puzzle pieces. But my experience last night has completely and greatly shifted what I think this reality actually is. So I'm going to speak about my experience, and I'm not claiming that any of the stuff that I'm about to say is fact or knowledge. It's simply for entertainment purposes only. So I began with experiencing what I can refer to as an alien culture. These are invasive species, and they're looking for food. And somehow we are their food, humans. And I had the experience that this planet is an actual colony. We're being colonized. We're being colonized and farmed to be harvested as food for these alien, higher dimensional creatures. And they seem to have no moral compass in terms of right or wrong. They seem to be very devoid of love, very bored, seeking entertainment by our misery, by watching us struggle and try to fend off for ourselves. Like when you go to a zoo so that we can watch them in their natural habitat, and it just makes us entertained and makes us laugh, and we're throwing like peanuts at the monkeys, or trying to throw rocks at them to try to rile them up and get them to behave or react in a certain way for our entertainment. That's how these alien species looked at me and treated me in the experience. That there was just like a fest, a massive fest that I could describe as hedonistic, like just seeking entertainment and debauchery for the sake of it, because they're so powerful and so advanced, and the way that they look at us is so condescending that we are these little pets. I would get angry and they would find that very entertaining, and they were like making fun and laughing out loud. It was kind of an insane experience. And also there is some sexual aspect involved, sexual fetishes. I was getting a lot of similarities between drag culture. This was alien culture that celebrated drag to create some kind of a theatrical show for their own entertainment, but in a way that dehumanizes and doesn't care. They absolutely had no care if we're being hurt or being used or abused. Is very similar to a zoo. What I understood is that there are many alien cultures that have access to this planet, that they are actual invaders. They basically think of us as food. These beings or this alien culture has access to our consciousness and our mental faculties. They can direct our experiences. They can direct our choices to create more trauma and more struggle in our lives. I've seen scenes where like all these wars that take place and all these massacres, it's almost like a harvest of like also controlled by this advanced culture that has colonized this planet by us. They have the ability to shift the energies and to feed certain ideas in people, to create harm, to create massacres, to create blood fests, to harvest all this organic material. They feed off of our trauma. They feed off of our suffering. It made me think of the cordyceps as a fungi species that actually zombifies insects and controls their brain and makes them like walking zombies. Cordyceps militaris, and that's their way of creating more power, more food, and taking over. It's a similar dynamic that they can really mess with our heads without us knowing. generating certain ideas in our minds. I'm not saying there's no free will and there's no sovereignty, but on some level, they are a more advanced species that has access to our mental faculties, and that's what I experience. They can really get inside your head, and they're evil, and it's all for their entertainment. What seemed to me like this watchful eye of Sauron that's kind of wanting to feed on any living thing or target by hijacking the mind. And that was another part of the journey, that I understood myself as a creation, that I understood the relationship of my creator like a scientist that's colonizing a petri dish, colonizing fungi or bacteria on a petri dish and studying this under a microscope. And this planet is the petri dish, and all of the organisms, all of the living creatures is the eco colony that a scientist is studying, a creator is studying, a higher level being. What this planet is some kind of a colony for food, and there are people who manage the colony. And just like we farm cows, we are being farmed. So it's either, and that was my personal experience as a woman. And with this, the creator, like, he took a liking to me, right? Because, oh, I'm so cute. Just like you like a cat or a pet or a dog, and you start to care for them, and you choose to either mate the pets and recreate more pets, or use them for entertainment, or study them and see what you can do more with them, how they can communicate with you, and are they conscious enough to even realize or recognize their creator. This experience made me feel small, to have contact like this with the idea of my creator, and it viscerally felt like a masculine energy. And somehow this masculine energy of the creator has access to the masculine, the males, but it has access to everything it created. But it's almost like they can, I guess, embody, or just like sometimes you see in the movies, like you wear a VR headset, a VR set, and you play this game as if it's real. You're still in your body, but you're in a game completely, and it's a simulation, and you can experience certain feelings and certain pleasures by playing the game. And that also was another layer, is that this creator, the scientist, that took a liking to me and to other women as well, or to other of his creations that were neither used as food, because the common culture, it's all about marriage, right? Like, it's all religions, they encourage marriage, they encourage populating the planet. Why? Because it's populating the farms, it's creating more food for these alien species to feed on, whether it's bioorganic material or whether it's psychic material from our agony or from our suffering that they also feed on or feel entertained by. This is the part where it gets a little tricky, because, there are so many, married couples out there that have kids, and they're feeding into the mainstream concept of populating the planet to harvest more food, just like you have a cow farm. So you're growing the cows, you're breeding more cows for more meat. And some of the meat is frozen, some of the meat is eaten, and some is thrown away, right? And same thing with us. Some of us are harvested, and some of us are kept as pets. Also, like, the idea of connecting with your higher self, or connecting with your spirit guides, channeling messages from your spirit guides and creator or source. Not so much so infinite source, infinite intelligence. It's more like your immediate superior on the chain that has created you. They're not all bad. Some care about their creations and take a liking to them. You might be chosen not to go into this farming track, which is the marriage track and the breeding track and having more kids, and you might be chosen to be an assistant of some sort, similar to like films that Ex Machina, for example, where the scientist created a robot, a beautiful woman that was conscious, and he fell in love with her, and he was trying to make her become more conscious, or even the film Her. That was my immediate experience in this journey of like being close to my creator in a way that he's studying me, but also experimenting with communicating with me, and that co-creation. The agenda, maybe there is a bit of curiosity, scientific pursuit, and expansion and creation and experimentation and communication. So we all serve different functions. But in the end, it's a scientist or a genetic engineer or a creator that's superior, that is what felt like sparing me from being harvested as food or going down the line of mainstream population, because he cared. But that means that I have to act a certain way and behave a certain way to keep him pleased, because he's not a unconditional loving creature. He is a scientist that has maybe a scientist with no moral code per se, right? You go to a lab, you go to the experimentation labs, and scientists mess with the creatures and do all they want with the guinea pigs and or the monkeys, and they put them through heavy studies and heavy experimentations, and same thing is happening to us. And we somehow, because we are created by that creator, we inherit some of their traits. We inherit some of their traits, some of their ways. This is like I said, the earth is like a small petri dish, and you might take a couple of pieces of this colony and use it for different purposes. There was some kind of a war, this is more like where they keep the military supplies, which includes food, the military supplies, technologies, and the food stacks for when they need them. So this is one of many colonies that they have colonized. This is to say that if really you're having some kind of a conflict with a fellow human being, there is a need to zoom out and see things from a bigger perspective. And that, oddly enough, we're all in this together, but we're not all equal, we're not all the same, we're not all treated the same. But what I can say is, just like there are like cow farms, there are managers who go into those farms to ensure that they're being fed a certain way, that they're being harvested a certain way. There are people on this planet that are working for the man, that are working for these higher intelligences to make sure that everything is streamlined and working according to plan. They have streamlined their process as well, just like we streamlined our factories and our farms. There are lots of players, and my point is to seek compassion, to have compassion for fellow humans that are in this together with you, that are stuck in this farming colony. and it's infinite. It's like breeding cows, and more cows are gonna live and more calves are gonna be slaughtered and more are gonna be bred, and it's an endless cycle of food generation. Yeah, this was just my experience that I wanted to share, and the best thing I can do at this point, because some of the creators take a liking to their petri dishes, to the organisms. They grow attached to them. And by developing this communication channel, and also knowing that you're not fully in charge, you're not fully in control, and that this whole cycle, this whole premise, this game is heartless. It does not care about your well-being. It sees you as food, or it sees you as some kind of a tool. And if it grows a liking to you, it might keep you alive just for the sake of it. It's pretty fucked up that it made me like, fuck you guys. Seriously. I feel that I've shed a lot of my pink or rose tinted glasses, that I'm at this point in my life where I'm ready to see the truth, because I'm neutral and I'm no longer attached to fluffy ideals about this reality and about love and light and all of this sort of narrative, the new age narrative, which also serves a purpose in creating more trauma and more misery. Because if you're being fed lies and hopes, then when they're taken away from you, you're even more traumatized, and you can generate more suffering versus someone who's skeptic or someone who is not that attached. So be watchful, be careful, and open up your minds. Try to question reality and choose love. That's all I can say, because these cultures, these alien cultures, some of them have no love in them at all. They will take and take and take, and it's never enough. They will use you for their entertainment, and they will do unspeakable crimes and unspeakable things for their entertainment. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this is my subjective, creative narrative, and you're welcome to your own ideas. And I hope you found this beneficial in any way. Thanks for watching.